What's going on, and welcome to the Jonathan Mary Show. Today we got another special guest. Today I got with me my guy, Dr. Mario King. What's going on, man?
Man, thank you for having me, man. I'm looking forward to today's discussion and sharing it with everybody, especially your audience. And we're going to have a good conversation today.
Yeah. So today I thought it was very important to get him to get in front of you all. We got a new book release. It's titled Roaring. So I suggest that you pick it up. It's a book about leadership, purpose, and redemption. So if that's something that you know that you could use, which that's all of us, hey, this book is a really solid one.
Yeah, go ahead and get your copy. It's available everywhere books are sold: Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Target, Walmart. So check it out.
So I don't know if anybody asked you, but I was wondering how you get the title Roaring. Where did that come from?
You know, I always tell people, I get this question every time I interview about the book, but roaring is just such a, it's always looked at as such this fierce thing that lions do. Lions are the king of the jungle. My last name is King, so I, got some symmetry there. But lions don't just roar when they're trying to scare somebody. Lions roar when they achieve something. They roar to wake up their pride. Roaring is just present when positive things happen. It's present when you need to, show a level of just tenacity, courage. And so I wanted to use roaring as the title. At first I was thinking about roar, but I was thinking I wanted a verb. And, to be honest, most of the books that are out now that really are good, they are one word books. So you think about Tina Knowles' book, Matriarch. You think about Jada Pinkett Smith book, which was Worthy, Will Smith book, which is one of my favorite, Will, and then one of my all-time favorites, I tell people, is Identity. That's another book. So I wanted to use one word, and I wanted it to be a verb, and I wanted it to be something that people can feel in their spirit.
Yeah. So, and that's a good point you made, because my next question was going to be, what kind of emotions or feelings come to you the most when you think about, your journey and what helped you write the book? Is it one of pain, excitement? How would you describe it?
Achievement.
Achievement.
I always say, even in my fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi Incorporated, I always tell people that achievement is great. And so, but with achievement, a lot of people don't think about what people go through or what it takes to actually get to that level of what some people may call a success. But most people call success, I call progress, right? And so I would say that achievement, having that progression, being able to roar throughout life, having those short-term wins.
Yeah, that's good. So just tell the audience, if you will, who was Mario King before the doctor?
Man, titles really are just, kind of, I always say astroturf, but I like titles I like Dr. Mario King, but I say that because that was a achievement. It was something that I completed, so I consider it a success. But before that, I was Mayor King. Before that, I was student Mario. Before that, I was a brother, a son, a friend. And so I think those things, those anecdotal experiences that give you titles of brother and cousin and friend, those are the titles that mean the most to me. And I think that's who I was before. Just a good friend, trying to be the best brother, cousin, family member I can be. And so before that, I was just Mario.
So were you funny? Were you a class clown? Were you always studious?
I think I was all, I was all the above, but I say before people say, when people that call me Dr. King, obviously, are people that really don't know me, but I'm just Mario. People that call me Mario, that's who I really am. And to my people I grew up with, and especially in school, they always call me Mario King. I don't know why, but they always call me my full name growing up. But man, I think growing up, I was everything. I was class clown. I was good. I was bad. I was mischievous. I got into things, but I've always been somebody that did things with purpose. I've always been a leader, and I've always been focused on, making something happen, making some type of move, some type of progression. Even as a kid, I always had my eye on the prize. I never stood still.
Now, was your upbringing one that instilled in you like just leadership and certain qualities, or was that something that you learned along the way?
Oh yeah, I was raised by a single mom, and I always tell you people leadership was embedded in how she brought us up. From the simple things of cleaning your room, like the parental things that we all supposed to do and feel like comes naturally to people, to the small talks from, this is what time you need to be home, creating those structured pathways for you that help you and mold you into becoming a person that have good time management skills, to sitting you down and saying, this is how much money we have. We can't afford this. We got to figure out a way to do this. And my mom has always been very honest. Her integrity was important, which I think is the foundation of any kind of purpose, leadership, or redemption story. And she's been able to really mold me to have structure, have balance. And so I think overall, just her teachings and her practices as a parent has been my foundation of how I grow and how I've led.
So was it optional for you to go to further education? Like, did you go to, I'm assuming because of your fraternity, you went to secondary school or college, university.
Yeah.
Was that an option for you, or did you choose to do that?
So yeah, it was optional. But when I tell people, my mom was like, your life is your path. And so I take that same lesson with my kids, like your life is your path. But my mom made sure when I graduated high school that I was prepared to go to the military, to be an entrepreneur and work a real job while I'm trying to be an entrepreneur, or go to college, take some time out and learn, but you still need to work and grind and get it done. And so the option was I had to have a career.
Okay.
I had to have a pathway.
Okay.
And it had to be clear and concise to my mom what I was doing. I always laugh because my first school I wanted to go to was an HBCU, and my mom was like, okay, that's great. I grew up around Black people all my life, so I wanted to continue to be around Black people. I wanted to be a part of the culture so that I could say, yeah, my success is because I went to a HBCU. I grew up in Black communities. I wanted to get all my education in Mississippi, which I did. But my mom was like, she went up there with me and she was just not feeling the environment that I was in. She did not like the school environment that I went to. And I originally wanted to go to Jackson State. And so it was very difficult. It was real unorganized at first. And so she said, look, I'm not feeling this. Like, you got two options. You can go come home with me, enroll in the junior college. The local junior college was the Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, and go home and go to work. And in 2 years, get you a degree, associate degree, and then go to a university after.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I can't do that. So I don't want to go back home. I was like, nah, I'm not going home. So my mom, she said, well, you can try Southern Miss. It's on the way home. If that's the school you said you was going to go to, and you talked about that one as well. So let's go try Southern Miss.
Is that a HBCU?
No, Southern Miss is a PWI, which is a predominantly white institution.
Okay.
And so, and I say that because a lot of people out there, I use PWI in my book, and when it was during the editing phase, they say we need to say predominantly white institution because some people didn't know English, but predominantly white institution means that it's predominantly white, meaning that there's more white students than any other race of students, and it's majority a white school.
Okay.
But Southern Miss is located in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, which is a very diverse community. And Southern Miss is Hattiesburg. And so I was praying the whole time, like, please let me get accepted. Please let them have something for me. Like, please help me. So on my way down, it was about an hour and 15, 20 minutes away from Jackson State. And so when we got there, we went into the admissions office, and it was amazing. I talk about that experience in my book, and I was accepted. I was able to start school right away. It was so organized.
Oh, wow.
There was no chaos. It was simply just a really smooth process. We went in, we filled out a few additional papers, and they accepted me, and the track coach at the time. I ran track in college. Helped us out a lot. And my dorm was ready. It was just a very smooth and seamless process.
So what did you major in?
I went to school, I had created this email and everything. It was dental.mking@yahoo.com. And I was going to be a dentist. I knew I wanted to be a dentist. And then what happened was organic chemistry happened to me. And I was like, all right, I had tried really hard and I made a D. And so then I retook it and I tried even harder and I made a C. So I knew then, like, it wasn't right. And I remember the professor standing in front of everybody saying that a lot of people in here want to be doctors, go into the medical field, dentists, pharmacists. But this class, right now, it's 300 of y'all in this class. Maybe 100 of you may pass, but only 20 of you will make A's.
Oh, wow.
And he said, but this is not a determinant, but many of you are going to drop this class. And I was one of the ones that dropped. And so I thought about it and I thought what I really wanted to do. So instead of me just picking another career field, I took the career aptitude test.
Okay.
I took several, which is a test that measures your ability and subject matter and career fields, and it matches those things together and determine what would be the best major for you to take. And mine came out as business, economic development. Science was still number 2, which was biological sciences was number 2, but I wanted to do number 1, something I could do well, something I would excel in. And I did that and took on healthcare administration as what my career goal was. But I looked at all of these CEOs that were CEOs of hospitals and I looked at their resumes, looked at their bios, their track, and I took a very common track that I saw, which was business, some type of finance course, and then, of course, getting your MBA and, and going on to your PhD and that stuff.
So that's the route you ultimately chose.
Yeah, I chose that route.
So how did you decide to go the route of becoming a mayor? I mean, I can speak for myself and I'm sure a lot of people, but like you just don't have on your radar to, hey, I think I want to be a mayor. So like, how did that come about? Were you always into politics when you were growing up or is that brand new?
I tell people this, politics is, it shouldn't be something like, it's not something that I chose at all. I feel I actually it was an issue that happened between a friend of mine that was an elderly lady that was having some difficulties and she asked me to help her. And so I helped her, and the experience that I had with the current mayor at that time, I didn't like it. I didn't appreciate it. I didn't like it. So I decided I was going to support somebody in the campaign. I was in my career at that time. I was a lobbyist and I was working in healthcare. And so I said, yeah, I'm gonna help somebody run a big campaign. I have the experience. I know how to do it. And so I was going to make sure whoever ran against them will win.
So hang on. You had experience? I mean, where did you get experience from? What does a lobbyist even do?
So I was working for a university and a hospital system, so a teaching hospital system and a university at the time. And I was doing some advocating for and lobbying for breast cancer research, trying to garner up money for a center. It was a new center.
Okay.
And so lobbying is simply advocacy work and trying to influence policy.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, a lobbyist that wants to pass a bill that allows for, I'll make it even simpler. Like children lobby every day. If they want McDonald's, they might say, I'm going to be real good, Mom. I'm going to be real good, Dad. But I really want to get McDonald's on Friday. So all week you set standards. They do good work, and it's like normal reciprocity. They do good things for us and we do good things for them. Mm-hmm. And so at the end of the week, you say, okay, you have 4 good days, 1 bad day, so you can get McDonald's. I'm not going to give you the whole double cheeseburger meal with a toy, but I'll get you some fries and I'll get you a shake instead, And so it's the same thing with bills. So you talk to senators, you talk to your state representatives, local representatives, and they have a bill, and that bill have all of this stuff in it. And then they say, okay, over time, you've helped contribute to campaigns. You've been a faithful servant of theirs, which is what they would call it. And then at the end, they take some things out of the bill and they say, we're going to pass this bill, but we're going to take some things out, but we're going to give you a few other things. And so I think that that's lobbying.
Okay.
And which is why lobbying can be a little disastrous. And that's why legislation can be a little disastrous sometimes, because it's all about normal reciprocity. You do something for me, I'll do something for you.
Got it.
Yeah. And so, but I was just really advocating for research, which is, I think is a very positive thing. But then I started advocating for education. So I started working for other organizations, being a lobbyist for education on a national level, going all across the country, talking about charter schools and things like that.
Now, do lobbyists get paid, or is that something you do voluntarily? Okay.
The lobbyists get paid a lot.
Okay.
So the people that, when they talk about big pharma companies influencing, how medicine get put on the shelf, or they talk about the influence of education and different Senate bills and House bills, the people that they're talking about are companies that have stake in the game, is what I call it, or have some type of influence over how government enact policies, laws and policies.
Okay.
So they get paid a lot. So they help fund campaigns. So like some lobbyists, say you work for, just think of a company, a tech company, right? Like Facebook. Let's say you work for Facebook and you're Facebook's lobbyist and they're trying to create a currency, right? Some type of money, like Bitcoin or something like that. Facebook going to create their own currency. So they have to go before committees, Senate committees. They have to go before House committees to determine if they're going to get that bill on the floor.
Gotcha.
They get questioned by those people, by those different senators, by those different congressmen and women. And eventually they determine if they're going to pass it through that committee, and then that bill hits the floor, and then they have to eventually lobby that all the way to the president's signature.
Okay.
And so a lot of times, if I'm Facebook, I'm probably going to, if campaign is coming up, congressional campaigns are every 2 years, Senate campaigns are every 6 years, I'm going to get to that campaign and I'm going to say, hey, we want to give you $20,000 for your campaign. We want to give you $100,000. Some of them $1 million.
Okay.
And when you have that much influence and you have that much power, you're able to fund campaigns at that level.
Yeah.
Then it creates a little bit of bias.
Yeah. The biggest one that would just happen recently was when the president of the United States was doing all the tariffs. I remember earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of lobbyists trying to get, their companies exempt from being taxed based off of, different raw material or products that they need coming in. So that makes a lot of sense now why it's in your best interest to do that.
Through my work and through my research. And so the opportunity came where it was time to qualify. So if you have the funding, the thing is small companies don't have that luxury, right? So if they're ordering from a country as a majority supplier for a small business, then they don't have the funding to be able to pay for those increase in tariffs, right? The tax increase. And so a lot of times people are advocating for a lot of things and sometimes they know and sometimes they don't know. But I always say that it's your ability, your duty to understand what you're voting for and what you're advocating for and who you're advocating for.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So back to that's how you got started in saying, you know what, I'm going to help somebody run a big campaign.
That's right. And eventually I went to all of these different people and none of them wanted to run. Most of them, a lot of people that I would hear running when I would talk to them face to face, they would actually not even want to talk about running. They would say they were undecided. There was one person, and I talk about that story in my book on how I decided to run for mayor. So one person told me he may run and I actually, respected him, but nobody for sure. So I decided I'm gonna run.
Okay. All right. That's a big jump.
Right. I'm gonna run for mayor. It was 2 years in advance that I started doing it. So, I moved into, a place with my sister and then I had 2 residents. I was like, I gotta live 51% here. I'm gonna live 48% here, 49% at this place. And I was splitting my time. And so I would go down there, I would practice, run a campaign, I ended up getting a job down there and working in the hospital system and doing some research. And it was amazing. It was really amazing the way I was able to navigate my campaign and then the places that I was working and the work that I was doing. I was able to really interact with a lot of people and connect with a lot of people organically. So what allowed me to run for mayor was the opportunity to connect with somebody that genuinely had an issue with the current administration. I wanted to do it in a more positive way. I wanted to, go and support somebody that was running. And I couldn't find anyone that was willing to just be out and open with it. It was early, so people really are kind of, I don't know if I'm gonna run for mayor. I don't know. Like people have a lot more fear to put their name out there because we know politics can be grimy, it can be nasty. And once you do that, you open yourself up to people being in your business.
Yeah.
But I decided I would run.
And this would be running against
The incumbent.
incumbent.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I decided an incumbent just, is the person that's currently sitting in the seat. And so I decided to run against them. And I started my campaign way before everybody else. I moved down in with my sister and I split my time. I ended up getting a job at one hospital and doing research at another hospital and healthcare admin and really learning the policies and procedures of Moss Point, the city I ran for mayor at, by going to check out literature at the library, getting their budget, doing public records requests, and just understanding government. While I was working for a mayor, which was Mayor Kevin Johnson, before that, prior to that, and lobbying for Students First, which is his wife organization, and Stand Up for Great Schools, I learned through that process and traveling across the country doing lobbying work for education that every municipality is different. The way that their charter operates is different. So I learned that over the course of 2 years, really took the time out to invest and being a leader there under the auspice that I probably wasn't going to win. I really didn't think that I was going to win this campaign. But what I wanted to do was run this informative campaign to let people know what they were dealing with. And
you wanted to get information out there to people.
I wanted people to get involved. So I ran this truth campaign and I actually consider it a really truth campaign by saying, y'all houses are nasty. You need to clean up your yards. Like get all these plants from off your porch, all these broken down cars out in front of your yard. That makes the property value go down. Alongside, you have leaders that really don't understand economic development. You gotta understand economic development. They have to know how to write grants. And, you have to have this type of structure in order to actually operate a government. And here's what I've seen across the country. Here's my experience. Here's who I am. Give me the chance to be your next mayor. And so I ran that campaign with an open understanding that I wasn't going to probably win, but that everybody would know who I was, they would know what I stood for, and they would know that what they currently had wasn't working. And then the next person that was going to be in that seat, they would have a foundation because I would support them. Even after I lost, I would support them. And people say, you advocating for your failure. I said, no, I never advocated for my failure. What I advocated for was to simply do a truth campaign with a reality and being pragmatic about the outcome of running a campaign and investing time and money into it.
I got you. So what, do you remember what the incumbent person was running on? What were they, or was it just like more of the same kind of?
Yeah. And I'll say this, like in most local campaigns, and I'm not trying to be politically correct. I'm being very real. This is really how my book is. It's not about, downing nobody, but most local campaigns, especially in smaller communities, people don't really have a platform, so I wanted to run a bigger campaign, a real platform, and actually have, this is what I want to do for you all. Here's what's realistic about what we can do for you all. And so that was my goal.